Hello, everybody. Hi, Mike. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Henry Cameron. Always lovely to see your face. Claire,
Hello.
lovely to, well, you're there. I can't see you yet, but lovely to have you. Okay. Oh, we've got, oh, Joycey, that's my assistant that's coming through. Hello, Joycey. Thank you for joining me. Okay. Oh, Claire's saying she's just eating. It's okay. You're amongst friends, Claire. You can eat on camera. Actually, don't. It's going live, so you might not want the world to see you eating, so it's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm going to let the room run for a few more minutes just to see who's joining us. I have had a lot of apologies today, which is understandable because it's a nice sunny day in England, and the English go very crazy as soon as there's any sun out. It's like, no, tools down, let's go and have a barbecue. So I'm not actually expecting a huge number of people, but let's see who else is going to join us. In the meantime, while we're waiting, I would love for you to go into the chat and let me know what you'd like to gain from today's session. So as you know, today we're talking about how authors use their books and well, how to get speaking engagements, even without a book, really, but obviously a book helps. Oh, bless you, Mike. I'm in Scotland, so I'm actually closer to you than I am London. I'm in a place called Gateshead. So we've actually got a bit of sun, so but I assume you're going to be sending the wet weather down to us very soon. So I don't think we're going to have it for very long. But yes, please do go into the chat, everybody, and put in what you'd like to gain from today's session, because that helps me. It gives me an understanding of whether I'm actually going to tell you or within my presentation. I'll be able to know, oh, will I be able to cover that? If it's not something covered in my presentation, I will endeavor to cover it in the Q&A portion. Oh, we got Stanley on his way in as well. And if it's a really big or juicy topic, I may even think, hang on a minute, it might actually be good to do a whole forum session, a whole other session in the next few weeks, just dedicated to that. So really just help me shape things. I do a lot of masterclasses and workshops for other communities. Don't get me wrong, I love doing them, but I do kind of get a little bit tired of saying the same things and doing the same things. And the reason why I created this weekly forum was it to be somewhere where I spoke for about maybe 10, 15 minutes in the beginning, but then it was over to you guys. You can tell me what you need and give me your feedback, and you get what the value that you want to get out of this. So please do go into the chat and let me know what you'd look to gain for this. Henry Cameron saying blazing hot in Spain. Yes, I'm not jealous. not a cloud, no rain, please send. So, oh, bless you. You actually want to do a swap, don't you? That's what you need. Welcome, Stanley. Lovely to see your face. Hope you're doing well. And welcome, Donna, as well. Okay. Oh, we've got Alan, who's well, actually we're doing okay. Bearing in mind it's a little bit on the sunny side in England. We're actually getting quite a few people in, which is awesome. Okay, so thank you for turning up, Alan. Hope you're doing well, my love. Okay, so let's get started. I'll just have to keep an eye out if there's any late stragglers that are coming in. So if I can ask you just for the next few moments, if you can put yourself on mute. As you can see, I'm on my treadmill. I'm actually walking backwards on my treadmill, courtesy of Stanley, who told me that I need to start walking backwards because it helps rewire my brain, amongst other things. So I'm pretty good at it now. As you can see, I can walk and talk backwards at the same time. However, any loud noises, you may see me falling back into the bookshelf, which you don't want to see. So thank you for putting yourself on mute just for the next few moments while I speak. So let me just start sharing my screen. Give me 2 moments. There we go. So hopefully, okay. So are you able to see my slides? Excellent. Okay, thank you so much. So let's get started. So first of all, welcome to the Thought Leader Author Forum. Now, most of you have been here before, so you know how this works. There's 2 parts to the forum. The first part is when we talk about the topic of today. Each week, it's a different topic. So this week, we are talking about something that a lot of my clients, past and present, really want to do. Either they're not doing it, or they're already doing it, but they want to do more of it. And that is how to land more speaking engagements and especially become a keynote speaker. Okay. So the first part I'm going to talk about is how authors use their books to land keynote speaking engagements. This is all tried and tested stuff, folks. I'm not a fan of just watching some YouTube videos about what to do and then just regurgitating that. I see too much of that online. All of these so-called experts, but their only expertise is just basically seeing content from another expert in inverted commas, and then regurgitating the same thing. And that tends to be why so much bad information just perpetuates. Everything that I talk about, not just today, but anything in the forum, it comes from my understanding. I'm an author, so I'm right there in the trenches with you guys, whether you're an author or looking to be an author. I've been there, I've done it, I've worn the proverbial t-shirt, I've made mistakes. So it's my experience. And also I've now published 47 authors. I've got another 13 authors I'm currently working with. So it's their experiences. So everything I talk about, it's real information from real experience, not regurgitated nonsense from somewhere else. So I'll be able to give you the facts of how this works. And then part two, my favorite bit of the forum, is when I take questions. So I can talk about speaking techniques. We can talk about getting encouragements. You know, some people maybe have never spoken on stage. Tell me your story and let me help you get the most out of the forum. Okay. Why isn't my slide moving? Yes, it is. And also for coming here today, feel free to take notes. I know some people just really like taking notes anyway. It's more of a habit, but you don't have to. Everything that we talk about and a lot more that I won't be able to cover today will be sent to you as a workbook tomorrow morning. My awesome assistant is in the crowd somewhere, Joycey. That is one of her tasks on Thursday. So Thursday morning, you will actually get this. You don't have to take notes. You can just relax and listen to me if that's all you want to do. And also just to thank you for attending the Thought Leader Author Forum, you get the chance to pick one of these incredible causes around the world, and we will make a donation on your behalf. Now, I've just noticed something that was really weird. Let me just, so as you can see, their website is down. Even though it's my link, but it links to their website, and that's where you normally can pick your cause. But even though that just goes to show, even big organizations can have technical issues, can't it? So let me just put this into chat, but just letting you know, it probably won't work right now. So maybe just copy and keep it somewhere, and then later on the day, give it a go. Also, Joycey, if I can ask you, can you please put this link into the email that's going to go out to all of these guys tomorrow morning? Put it in the PS or something, because yeah, I was really surprised. It's doesn't work, as you can see. But even LinkedIn was down for an hour last week. So just goes to show even big organizations can have tech issues every now and then. Okay, so let's get back to here. Okay, so let's get started. So I polled my audience earlier this week and I asked them, what do you think event organizers look for when booking a keynote speaker? We've got 11% who said fame, connections 24%, experience was the big one, 61%, and there was just one other person who actually said, no, I don't think it's any of those things. But experience seems to be the big one. That's the one that people believe that organizers want. The reality is that they do want that. That is the one thing. But I don't think people are aware how big a connections is in the way that organizers think. I think a lot of people, and that's one of the reasons why people don't even put themselves up for speaking, because they just think, well, I don't have the experience, so I'm not even going to put myself up for it in the first place. You'll be amazed how many organizers are willing to take a bit of a gamble for someone who actually brings something else to the table, such as connections. But I wanted to poll because I just want to see what people thought. And it's interesting that people still, on the whole, believe experience is the main thing. And it is the main thing, but it's not as clear cut as this poll would seem, or as it's suggested. So let me just give you an idea of some of the conversations that were happening on this poll. So our Tiba say experience leads the way in most cases. You've got Alex says years of experience martial arts. So obviously there we go. We've got that mindset. I need to have been speaking for years to be on stage. Years. Who has years to become a keynote speaker? Like, I don't know about you, but I don't want to wait for years before I'm a keynote speaker. Well, Keith says it'd be nice to think that they book for experience. He wants to think they actually book for experience. Alas, I've seen far too many over the years where they book based on celebrity to attract people because of the big name, which usually ends up being pretty disappointing. I actually agree here. I'm all for bringing celebrities in, but the celebrities have got to bring something to the table. I was actually listening. I didn't go to this. This was over in Switzerland, I believe. There was an event a few weeks ago. Some of you will know I'm really, really interested in how AI can be used for good. because it can be used for bad, as we know. So I didn't go to the event live because I just couldn't do it with the various clients that I'm working with, but I attended it online. And one of their keynote speakers was Princess Beatrice. I believe it was Beatrice, or was it Eugenie, his sister? I get these minor royals all mixed up. Do you know what I mean? I can just about remember who the king and queen are and their kids, and that's about it. But we have all these minor royals in England as well, the UK, I should say. So it's either Beatrice or Eugenie. And I remember thinking, why has she been booked? What's she got to do with AI? And I mean, she did it was a reasonably good talk, but I still didn't feel like, I wasn't really sure why she was there apart from having a royal on stage. I certainly felt the other speakers had a lot more to say and it was far more interesting. So yes, I completely understand where Keith is coming from. But this is me speaking the very, very first time on stage. I wish the photographer was able to get a picture of me from behind over the shoulder so you can see how many people there were. There were over 100 people. Unfortunately, the stage was it was right next to a wall, so he couldn't get behind me to actually take a picture. This was my very, very first time. So that's just kind of, what people think. Experience leads the way in most cases. Years of experience, apparently, years of experience matters a lot. Here's me speaking to over 100 people with zero experience. Just goes to show that a lot of it is perception. Yeah, a lot of it is perception. Yes, speakers are, I can see why organizers are looking for experience. They do look for experience. In terms of, they're the ones who are responsible for making sure the audience is happy and impressed and informed. It makes them look bad if you have a terrible speaker. So yes, they look for experience. However, having said that, how can do organizers even have the time to really check how good each of their speaker really is? Think of how much time and effort it takes to put on even a small event. Say you just book maybe just 5 speakers. That's a small event. That's not even that many speakers. Do you think that organizer actually has time to go and listen to at least one speech from each of those speakers and make sure they're good? No, they don't. So yes, they do book on experience, but they have shortcuts in their brain. And one great shortcut is you're an author. That's what happened here. I didn't lie to the organizer, by the way, before you're thinking, Mitali, did you fib to the organizer and tell them that you've got loads of experience? And he didn't. No, don't lie, folks. It always comes back and bites you in the bum or the ass if you're in the US. It really does. So don't lie. But I just didn't say anything. I basically said, I'd love to speak on your stage. This is what I do. This is what I'm all about. This is my story. Let me send you a copy of my book. So I did the whole, I'll send you a copy of my book in the mail. That was enough. That impressed the organizer, Brad. He was just sort of like, I didn't say that I've spoken in front of hundreds of people before. I didn't lie to him, but I just said, this is what I'd like to do. He saw that as, wow, this person's an author. She must have experience. And he just gave me the spot. That's what being an author can do for you. Yes, you're absolutely right. These people, I'm not saying these people are wrong. They are absolutely right in believing all these people, 61% said experience. They are right. They're actually right. They are right. So I'm not saying they're wrong. But just be aware that organizers are very busy. Event organizers are extremely, extremely busy. They do not have the time to actually go and check up on all their speakers. So if you can present in a way that makes you feel like, wow, this person knows what they're talking about, they will give you the spot, even when you don't have a lot of experience. But let me show you, this is something that will really help you get a lot of speaking engagements. It's something that I use all the time, something a lot of my clients use extremely well, and I'm giving it to you now so you can do it. So anyone who's followed me for a while will know that I've got a brain like a sieve. I don't really remember very much, which is why a long time ago, I realized I needed to create mnemonics to help my brain remember stuff. And then I realized most people seem to have brains like a sieve. So therefore I started to share my mnemonics because I thought, oh, wow, it's not just me. Lots of people don't remember things. So if I can give them mnemonics, they will remember stuff as well. So this is something that I always say in my head whenever I'm trying to get a speaking engagement. I think of GIGS, and GIGS, as you can see, is an acronym for first G is generate publicity, then we've got impact, the objective for I, and then we've got gifts. So if you can remember gigs, always remember, like, keep them in your head. And I'm not going to now go through these steps so you can actually understand what it is that organizers want, how you demonstrate to them that you should be absolutely someone that they put on their stage. Okay. So the first G on gigs is generate publicity. I'm always amazed how many speakers seem to think that their job is to say, I'm an awesome speaker and I'm going to go and speak on your stage. And that's it. That's their job. Well, it is your job if you're already a keynote speaker, if you're a celebrity of some sort, then absolutely. You can be a little bit big-headed there. You can just say, well, I'm gracing you with my presence. That's all I need to do. If you're not at that level, I'm not, I'm sure anyone in the audience, I'm sure no one here is at that level, then the way to really ingratiate yourself with an event organizer is to demonstrate to them and let them know that you're willing to generate publicity for them. You have to remember, event organizers, they live and die by the number of people that they can get to an event, whether that's an in-person event or a virtual event or a mixture of the both. That's the main point, is to get as much visibility and as many bums on seats as possible. If you come to them and you actually say something along the lines of, and by the way, you don't, if you're now worrying and thinking, well, I don't have a huge audience, I don't have 50,000 followers on Instagram, I don't have 10,000 people on my email list, you don't need silly numbers of people. If you just have an audience of a few hundred on an email list, for example, or you just have 2,000 or 3,000 business connections on LinkedIn, just letting the organizer know that I'm willing to promote you. So I plan on doing a series of emails. I plan on doing some LinkedIn promotion. I plan on doing a lot of Instagram stories. If you know a local journalist, contact them and pull in any favors that you've got with them and just say, hey, I'm going to put together a press release and actually give it to my local journalist so they will be able to cover your event. Whatever you've got. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, I don't have this and I don't have that. If you're a business owner, chances are you do already have some kind of reach, even if it's small. Just letting the organizer know, you'll be amazed how that will ingratiate you. Because most speakers don't even think of that. They think their job is to speak and that's it. So the fact that you're saying to the event organizer, this is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to do this kind of campaign. I'm willing to do these sets of emails. That in itself will make the event organizer think, wow, I like this person. This person's actually wanting to help me out. They're not just, oh, give me a spot and let me speak, but I'm going to do all of this to really put your event on the map. So try it. I've done this really, really well. I've actually said, oh, I'll do this. I remember one event that I was speaking live in, and I actually said, hey, I would love to do like a series of social media posts and emails. I'd also like to do a live. Is that okay? I'd like to do a live on my accounts where I interview you as the event organizer, so you can tell us all about the event and what you're trying to get from the event and what kind of cause this is all about. He loved it. It was like, yeah, I'd love to do a live, actually. And he ended up, so we did the live, and he ended up taking the recording of the live and actually putting it on his event organizer website to actually promote it. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, you can use that. Take that with my compliments. So there's so many, think of ways that you can help that person out, because that person is not creating an event for their health. Trust me. In fact, if anything, they probably actually become ill after organizing an event. I've tried event organization, just small event organization. I ended up losing hair over it. I don't know how these people do it on a regular basis. They must be superhuman. Mike's point, do you do a lot of events, Mike? Bless you. But it's hard work. So somebody that actually comes to them and says, I'm going to help you with this. I want to help generate publicity for this. That's like music to the ears. Like, wow, they don't get to hear much of that. They really don't get to hear. So you'll stick out like a sore thumb in the best possible way. I is for impact the objective. This kind of follows on from generating publicity. Again, a lot of speakers, most speakers just don't even think of this. They just think, I want that spot. I want to speak on that stage, and that's it. Every event organizer has an objective. Every event organizer has an objective. And that isn't just to get people to be aware of the event. That's a very expensive way just to get visibility. There are cheaper ways of getting visibility than having to put on an event. An event, especially an in-person event, costs a lot of money, time, and effort. So there is an objective somewhere down the line. So for example, let me just come off my treadmill. So recently, I don't want to say I won this, my team, my awesome team won this, the Good Small Business Awards. So we won this, and this is, thank you, Stanley, thank you. And we're really proud of this because it's not just a typical business award, it's the entire award system, Good Small Business Awards, what they are all about is small businesses that are actually making profit, but making sure they're not impinging on people and planet at the same time. In fact, they're putting people and planet before profit a lot of the times. So it's a big deal for me and my team to win an award from this organization. But guess what? Those people, Claire and Darren, they're lovely people, but they're not. It's stressful putting an award show on, and they do it annually. They're not doing it just because out of the goodness of the heart, as lovely people as they are. They're not doing it out of the goodness of the heart. They have an objective behind this. So I spent time with them and I wanted to find out what it is that they do. And it's like, oh, they actually do assessments for people to make sure that they are sustainable. I was like, oh, that's the objective. Get lots of good small businesses together. And then obviously we will need assessments to make sure we're as sustainable as we're as ethical as we can be. Because sometimes we have blind spots. We all have blind spots. We're doing something well, and then you realize, actually, that wasn't so good. For example, a few years ago, I had no idea there was such a thing as green hosting. I just thought, well, hosting is hosting. It's just space on the internet. What's that got to do with anything? And then someone had to educate me that no, but hosting means there are now these huge places that are taking lots of electricity to host your website. Now, if that electricity is coming from coal and gas and oil, then that's contributing to global warming. So you need to make sure your hosting provider is a green hosting provider. Well, who would have thunk it? I didn't know that. I had no idea that my website could actually be contributing to global warming. So we all have these blind spots. And what this wonderful organization does is able to help small businesses and medium-sized businesses see where those blind spots are and fix them so they can be even more ethical and sustainable than they already are. Now I know their objective. Knowing their objective, now I can support them in that objective. So in the future, I can say, well, what can I do to impact that objective for you? Can I introduce you to other business owners that I know that could use your help? Can we create some kind of referral system? When you can actually speak to event organizers and let them know in a gentle way, don't interrogate them, but gently ask the questions and find out what is your objective here? What is it that you're wanting to gain from this event? Because trust me, people do not just put on events for the sake of putting on events. They're stressful. They're doing it because there's something going on in the background. They're going to either offer some kind of service, maybe they have a program or a product that they're going to promote. There's something going on in the background. If you can gently get that out of an organizer and then let them know that, hey, I want to be an ally. Let me help you. This is your objective. You want X number of people in this new program that you've opened. You want X number of people you want to offer your services to. You've got X number of people that you want to, whatever the thing is that they're doing in the background. Once you're aware of that, you can then say, okay, well, how can I help you make sure you hit that objective and you supersede that objective? Again, what speaker, trust me, go and, if you know any event organizers, go and ask them. I bet they'll say, I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk like that. Or maybe if they're lucky, they've had a couple of people and they're like, those people were amazing. I've had so many speaking engagements by just doing that. Just saying, well, tell me what the objective is. So obviously you're doing your event. What happens after that? you know, these people that you're attracting, what happens? You know, and usually there's some kind of funnel in the background. There's some kind of program or product or service or something that's being sold in the background. And the event is a way to get a ton of visibility and a captive audience to whatever it is that they're doing. Once you're aware of that, you can say, okay, well, how can I help you reach your objective and smash your objective? They will remember you. Trust me, they'll remember, because hardly any speakers even think of asking, what is your objective for this event? What is it you're doing? Like I said, don't interrogate them. Don't, it's not the Spanish Inquisition. Do be gentle about it, but gently ask them and say, you know, yes, you want to create visibility for this particular cause, etc., etc. That's the stuff that you can find on their landing page anyway. You don't need to speak to them about that. However, behind that, there's something more. There's a business objective behind the event. If you can gently find out what that business objective is and then demonstrate and let them know that you're happy to help them reach that objective, that's when they go, wow, this person is an ally. I definitely want to be associated with this person, not just for the event, but long term. I've been asked back to events where I didn't even have to apply for it again the following year because they remembered me, because they're like, wow, this person really helped us out. We definitely want it back again. So I get asked to things just because I'm doing so much publicity. Okay. Final G from gigs is gifts. Now, this one you don't have to do. I have done events where I haven't done gifts, but this really does. It just makes it really nice. And I found it really works for me as a speaker. And especially as an author, it's really, really easy to do. So especially in-person events, if you go to any in-person events, chances are, as soon as you come in, you get given a bag of goodies. When I say goodies with inverted commas, it depends on which event you go to. I've been to some events where I'm extremely impressed with the goodie bag. There's been other events where I've been to, and it's just been a bag of tat, like plastic stuff and a load of Mike's laughing. It's like he's obviously been to quite a few of these events where you just open and you go, oh my God, it's just all leaflets I don't want to read and a load of plasticky tat that, you know, which it used to annoy me. Now it annoys me even more because I know how unsustainable it is, you know, to just be given plastic stuff. So, I mean, goodie bags are varying degrees of success, I would say. However, nearly all events have them. And most event organizers usually sat there scratching their heads like, what am I going to put in the event bag? It needs to be something. So if you can offer something that goes in of value, that's the main thing, of value that goes into your bag, again, that's going to make them go, okay, let's put this person on stage. Again, speakers sometimes don't think of that. Yeah. So if you're an author, it's awesome. You know, you can, if you have to be, now the main thing I would say, the main piece of advice I give you is do speak to the organizer and find out who the target audience is. I've been to some events which are very small, extremely targeted. I know these people. For example, I spoke at a B Corp event. B Corp founders one of my target audiences. At that event, I gave my book for free, even though it cost me a couple of £100 to print out about I think I printed out about 60 books or something like that. Even though it cost me £200 or maybe even £300, it was worth it because it was an audience full of people who are my target client. I've been in more bigger general events. So, for example, the one that was up here, this was a far more general. It was a more sort of business networking, but very, very general business networking event. That event, I'd be crazy to give my book out for free. First of all, I would need several hundred. So I'll be several £1,000s down. Plus, I can't be sure that these people are my target audience. There may be a few of them that are. In fact, a few of them were. They ended up becoming my clients. But not everybody is. So more untargeted, general big events, you could do an offer. So, for example, you could say to the organizer, can I put a voucher in your goodie bag, giving them 50% off? That could be a way to do it. You could sell your book at cost. You just say, I'm just going to sell what it costs me to print out, but I'm not going to make any money. Whatever it is you want to do, you can create a just for the event offer. And again, trust me, organizers, their ears prick up. because that's what they want. They want to create publicity. They want to be able to put on their social media, oh, we've got this amazing author, and they're gonna give their book away for free, or you get 50% off exclusive just for this event that I'm putting on. That's great for them because they've got now new marketing angles for their event. Again, so many speakers don't think of that. Mainly, the whole point of this Get Gigs system is to do what a lot of speakers don't do, which is get out of their own shoes. Most speakers are thinking, what do I get out of it? I want to be on that stage, because if I'm on that stage, I can be associated with all these other speakers that I admire. And then I can put on my social media that I spoke at this prestigious event. And it's all me, 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 me. The speakers who really do well are the ones who are not thinking for themselves, and they're thinking, how can I help the organizer? How can I make the organizer's life as easy as possible? You take yourself out of your shoes and put yourself into the organizer's shoes. You'll be amazed how many of the organizers then want to reciprocate and do whatever they need to do for you. I've had people, I remember once where I was speaking at an event and my photographer let me down. He was ill. It wasn't his fault. He was ill. He let me down. I was like, oh, I'm not going to get any good photographs. And you had some friends in the audience who'll be able to take some mobile pics, but I really wanted some professional photographs of me speaking on stage. The event organizer sent someone over and said, we'll deal with it. Don't worry about it. And actually sent one of their photographers down to take pictures of me. That's because they didn't think of me as just another speaker. They saw me as an ally. This is somebody who's helping me generate publicity for the event. This is someone who really understands my objective for this event. And I was giving my books away for free as well at that event. And they were like, let's just help this lady out. Her photographer's ill. Let's just help her out. I doubt they would have done that if I was just another speaker on their stage. Okay. Now, if you're thinking, I don't have a book, Mitali, so how do I do this? There's other things you can do. This is something I do, especially in general events where I don't want to give my book out. So I created these a couple of years ago, and I have a fantastic supplier in Turkey. And what she does is she creates these pencils, and they're completely sustainable. They've got my website on there so people can do it. And basically, as soon as this is too small for your hands to use, you can plant this and it turns into a tree. These ones are, oh, they're called lilies. So these are lilies. And then I've got basil for the cooks. I've got daisy as well. I've got pants. I've got lots of different versions. I'm wanting to get a rose one next. That's a, I can't trademark that idea, guys. So if you want to steal my idea, you'll feel free to steal my idea. I wish I could trademark it. It'd be great if I was the only business that did seeded pencils, but I can't trademark that idea. So it's entirely up to you. You can do that or anything else. Think of something. The reason why I went with pencil, you see, again, a lot of people don't think of this. It's just like, again, when Mike was laughing before, when he's been to events and they've given him loads of tat in a bag, it's people are not thinking. It's like, oh, we'll just do a key ring. What's that got to do with your business? Nothing. Be clever. By the way, use ChatGPT or other LLMs to give you ideas. They're brilliant for brainstorming. The reason why I chose a pencil is, well, first of all, I'm a publisher, people writing books. So I'm giving them a writing utensil. That is in brand with what I do. That makes sense. Also, the reason why pencils are more sustainable than pens. And also, if you've followed me for any length of time, you'll know I talk about using pencils instead of pens if you're going to write things down, because our hands don't work properly anymore now. We're so used to typing, we don't write much on a day-to-day basis, which means our handwriting, most of our handwriting is atrocious. Definitely with my handwriting, when I write things down, if I then don't type it up within half an hour, I can't even read my own writing after half an hour. Whereas with a pencil, because of the friction, you're forced to write a little bit clearer, so it makes more sense to you. So for me, having a pencil, and especially having them seeded and having them grow into a plant, especially being the founder of the vegan publisher, it just made sense. So think of things that make sense. Don't just give tat. Don't do key rings and stress balls. Oh my God, I'm stressed over stress balls. Stress balls are meant to take away stress from me. Whenever I see a stress ball, I get stressed. It has the opposite effect to me. So just don't do the typical things. People are now waking up to the fact that they don't want plasticky tat that they just have to throw away. It really annoys them. So be mindful of that. But you don't have to have a book. But think of that. Think of nice gifts that don't cost a lot of money, something little that you can put into an organizer's bag. Not only are you getting publicity from all of the people who are going to be there, it gives you something that makes the event organizer think, wow, this speaker thinks of me. They're not just thinking of themselves. And that's most speakers just think of themselves. They're not bad people. They just don't even know how to not think of themselves. So hopefully this is giving you an idea of how you can now approach organizers out there. Now, as I said, Joycey, my wonderful assistant, will be sending you everything I've spoken about. Everything she'll be sending to you tomorrow. Also, you might be thinking, hang on, Mitali, you said 6 secrets. You just given me 3. Where are the other 3? The reason why I didn't give you the other 3 is I'll be speaking forever if I keep giving you loads of loads. So you will get this in, you'll get this system in the workbook tomorrow. This is my 3S stage success system. This is for anybody, because I know there'll be some of you who've spoken before. So you don't need this. You can now just take this, the Get Gig system, and just go out. And please, even if you're not an author, as you can see, you don't need to be an author to make this work. Being an author makes it even better. It's like a catalyst. That's why I was able to speak in front of over 100 people on my very, very first go. Okay. So being an author absolutely helps, but you don't need to be an author for this system to work. This is for the 3S stage success system, is for those of you who haven't spoken before and you're thinking, okay, that's great, Mitali, but I'm scared about speaking. So I can probably, now I know how to get gigs, but I don't know if I can do gigs. Please go through this. It'll be in the workbook tomorrow. It actually goes through the steps that you can take to become confident speaking online. You start small. You can do what I do. If you're a bit like me and a bit of a risk taker, then just go in front of 100 people if you want. But it's usually a bit much for most people. I'll show you how and where you can go to start small. I'll give you ideas of speech clubs that you can go into. One of the best ones is Toastmaster. Brilliant for really learning how to speak and cadence, and how to create the right pauses, tonality. Fantastic, definitely worth the money. And I'll also give you a couple of free options if you don't want to pay the cost of being a Toastmaster, and also how to start speaking online. That's how I started. Start speaking online first. It's far less scarier with the screen in front of you than actual living, breathing human people looking at you. Yeah, so they'll go through the steps in the workbook that you'll get tomorrow. And yes, I hope this inspires you. That smile, by the way, I was terrified. I remember the first 2 sentences that I said, and then the rest I blanked out. I actually do not have a memory of this. I was that terrified. Look at me now. I can just talk and talk, and it just goes to show the difference of just a few years can make. Anybody can do this. A lot of people, like you saw in the poll, a lot of people are like, oh, event organizers need experience, and I have no experience, so I won't even try. But it's like, well, how are you going to get experience if you don't actually go up there and do it? It just becomes like this vicious cycle. You think the organizers need experience, so therefore you don't apply to speak, so you don't get experience, so then you're never ever going to get on stage, are you, in the first place? It's silly. You can break that cycle today. You can break that cycle and say, no, I'm going to do it. So hopefully this has inspired you. So let me just come out of this. I'd love to know your thoughts. Oh gosh, there's been a lot going on in the chat. You guys have been busy chatting away. So link to the pencils. Okay, I'll have to find that. It's over on Etsy, but I will send that to you, Henry Cameron. I'll make sure I send that to you. Okay, so what are your thoughts? Anybody have any ideas or thoughts regarding that? Has anyone used anything like this? I'd love to know if you've had conversations with event organizers. Have you, maybe you actually thought about, I need to ask about their objective, or you've maybe offered free gifts in their event organizer's bag, or have you done that? Let me know. Have I stunned you all into silence? Yes, go, Mike. Absolutely. Just come off mute. I can't hear you yet. I think you've come off mute, but I don't know if I can hear you. Well, while Mike's doing that, I'll just have a read of the chat. Are you okay there, Mike? Are you able to come off mute there? I thought you wanted to say something, but yes, you do.
You're
Yes.
talking to me.
Say that again?
You're talking to me. Sorry.
Yes. I thought,
Oh,
yes,
right.
I thought you were going to come off mute and say something, but then I wasn't sure.
Well, no, no, I will. I will. I am a keynote speaker,
Excellent.
and I want to, I want to get more gigs, clearly. Um, and I want to write a book about my journey into motivational speaking because it's a lifelong journey. I never woke up and said I want to be a motivational speaker. In fact, I would hate anyone that did because it's a pretty false premise. And I told my story last night on LinkedIn Live, actually, which I have a recording of, and people are fascinated by the journey. So I want to turn that into a book because it's actually a book of my life and those incidents, from being homeless to being a waster to being a musician to being an actor to being in many, many, many jobs and then setting up business later in life. So the journey to getting there is more interesting than the speeches I give, in actual fact, because I give hints at my life, and people always want to know more. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. That
And
actually does.
in terms of the objectives, I mean, I would never speak anywhere without knowing what the organizer wanted to achieve. And
This is why you are where you are, Mike.
well, yeah,
You're
yeah,
the perfect example. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I actually asked the question, how do you want people to feel? And what do you want to do as a result of the event?
Love this. I hope you
Or
guys
the
are
keynote.
taking notes if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
do a lot of speaking. This is fantastic.
yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, that's fantastic. And that's just example there. Mike is an example there. He is a successful keynote speaker because that's what he's doing. He's making sure that he knows exactly what the objectives are of every single event organizer that he approaches, or even the ones who approach him. Yes, Henry Cameron.
I haven't really done keynote speaking, but I have been invited into groups and on podcasts, things like that. And it seems to me that, and I've been wanting to do some speaking because I'm good at it. I have a background as an actor as well, Mike. And I think I have an important message to get out there. And so
Yeah, you do.
it seems to me that tapping into your immediate circles is a good way to start. And I may be completely off the mark, but to
No,
start gradually with you as the
you're
epicenter.
on the mark. You're not off the mark at all. You're absolutely on the mark.
What's the next ring of influence outside of yourself, right? And who do those people know? And who do
Exactly.
those people know? Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. And if you put yourself out there and actually put in your job description where you put writer, where you put, all the other things that you do, publisher, whatever, put speaker there.
Yes.
Because then people will know that you identify as a speaker and that you're qualified to speak. You have spoken on podcasts. You don't have to say keynote speaker. I'm a speaker. I speak all the time, right? And so just to start incorporating it into my brand, which I haven't done, I think might sort of begin to put,
You'll be amazed
out
how
there.
many people you actually, well, you know me, first of all. So if you
Yeah.
tell me, if you give me like, I want to start speaking, I'm going to start speaking on these particular topics, I can put the feelers out into my network and say, because I know lots of event organizers. I
Yeah.
was told recently that this is just in the US, by the way, this is not even worldwide, but in the US, at any one day, 24 hours, there are around 7,000 events happening, either
Yeah.
in person or online in one day in just the
Yeah.
US. We're not even talking about Europe and Asia, and the mind
Right.
boggles. There's so many events that are happening, and all these events need speakers. of some sort, whether it's someone of Mike's caliber, Keynote, or even just smaller people just starting out and everything in between. You need speakers. There's so much opportunity out there, but we're stopped with these ideas of, oh, people need experience, and people, it's like, as long as, and I've heard you speak, and you have your own podcast and you speak beautifully. So just because you haven't been on stage doesn't mean you can't speak. You are already speaking.
Yeah, and I'm in a tiny remote village in the middle of Spain. I mean,
don't
really,
rub it in. Okay, it's about to start raining here, so you don't need
hey, I've got 3 guest rooms. If anybody wants them, I already offered to Claire, come to a retreat here in Spain. But you know, my ability to travel is quite limited, not only because of where I am, but also because I'm disabled and I have an assistance dog. And so to the production and the cost that it would take to get me from point A to point B to speak live is a whole other vision, a whole other conversation. But using the tools of our time, we are fully capable of speaking, you know, naked from the waist down. Nobody has to see, right? I mean, you could be where you are, is my point, and you could speak anywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just want to point out something that Donna said, which is perfect. She's saying, same in the podcasting world, if you can show a host how you'll publicize the episode, that will put you way above the audience harvesters that never share. I love that term as well, Donna. Audience harvesters. That is, I mean, that is why we go on podcasts. Like, I've done over 100 podcasts now. I didn't go on that. As much as I enjoy talking to people, I do enjoy talking to people, but there are other things I could be doing with my time. I do go on there to harvest an audience. So that is what I'm doing. But it's this belief that as a speaker or as somebody who goes on a podcast, that is all, there's got to be reciprocation. And there seems to be this lack of understanding that event organizers or podcasters, that they're just doing it for their health. And it's like, no, they're getting something out of it as well. It's got to be a two-way street. So if you can show that you understand their objective, you can show that you're going to do whatever you can. Like I say, you don't have to be some kind of huge Instagram influencer, but whatever little audience you have that you're going to leverage it and let people know, instantly they're like, wow, because they don't hear it. And Donna will probably back me up on this. They don't hear it enough. I even spoke to one awesome lady who's become a friend of mine over the last few years, Kathleen Gage, and she puts on these summits. And there's summits specifically for the plant-based world, and it's all different business topics. So last year, there wasn't one last year, the one before, I spoke regarding publishing. This year, I'm going to be talking about AI implementation, because that's the other thing that I do, is help businesses implement, well, certain businesses, not all businesses. So basically B Corps, social enterprises, people who are actually doing genuine good in the world, help them implement AI so they can make an even bigger positive impact. So that's what we're talking about. She told me that in the summit, I think in the last summit that she did, she had, I think it was 14 or 15 speakers. Out of them, there was only me and about 2 or 3 others that actually went out of their way to publicize the summit. The others just turned up and spoke. Do you think Kathleen is going to bother asking those people again when she does the next summit? Probably not, because she shouldn't have to tell those people. You should instinctively know that this has to be, business is always a two-way street. It's a two-way street. So you've got to give and you've got to take a little bit. And it seems to be with speaking and being a host, and people just expect these people just to do it out of their health. And it's like, no, they need to be getting something from it. So if you can demonstrate that, that puts you so far ahead. Hello, Donna, love to see your face there. Do you want to add to this? But am I right there? You don't get enough of that. You'd love it if every single, look at her face. She's like, I wish every single person would just, I honestly don't know why you wouldn't publicize that you're speaking somewhere or you're going on someone's podcast, because it's great for you as well to get more visibility and give you more credibility.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, for me, it's such a pain, and I don't invite guests back if they don't share, because it's like, you've just basically come to harvest my audience, and you've not given me the opportunity to connect with your audience. And the reason that I do what I do is to reach people. And my podcast, you know, I'm all about helping others. Like, it's a big passion of mine to help others. I want to see them succeed in their businesses. So I open up my platform to share, and I will promote them. And if they're doing something else, and if I see them on my socials, I'll reshare things that they're doing. And I'm always in there sharing other people's things. But then I get almost like crickets back from a lot of people. And if I don't get them sharing the podcast, then, you know, and oftentimes the minimal that they will do is to reshare when I've tagged them. But they never share it organically. They never tag me to say that they've shared it. I've had probably, I would say, 2%, if I'm being generous, that have shared organically their episode with me. It's bad.
I'm pretty shocked by that. I'm really shocked by that. I mean, I do a lot of podcasts, mainly in the States, but the reason people ask me is they get a lot of pre-publicity from me. If we know what the date of the podcast is, you can get people tuning in live, and that's even better. But yeah, it's actually rude. It's very ill-considered, and it's very short-term in terms of your own reputation, because it soon spreads.
Absolutely. But this, I mean, I'm using you as an example, Mike. This is why you are where you are. There's all these people who are whinging, oh, I don't get enough speaking engagements, but they're not thinking of the hosts. I don't get enough podcasts. What do you? I get podcasts all the time. I don't even have to ask people for podcasts now. They come to me because they know if they work with me, I will tell everybody that I know about it. I'll even introduce them to people if I think there's any kind of synergies. If you're always thinking about what you can give back, you'll be amazed how many people then want to give to you. But it seems to be the attitude, sadly, seems to be give me first, then I might give back. And it's like, that's not, never mind business. That's just not a great way to be in life, I would think. You know, think about giving first and you will get anyway. Don, I just wanted to point out something that you said in the chat, which I found really interesting. You said you've seen shout outs on social and hundreds of people comment, or I get DMs to speaking gigs where they want me to pay them. Do not do those to share my expertise. And so, right. I think the best way, honestly, is I've tried joining like Facebook groups where apparently people do shout outs. It's you just one, yeah. Hundreds of people jump on, say, oh, I want to speak. You're just another person in the crowd. I just never found they worked. When I really got started was what Henry Cameron was talking about. Literally just speak to your inner circle and ask them, who do you know that has an audience? Whether that's an event they do, whether that's another podcast like you, so they're a podcaster, or whether they do loads of lives on Instagram and stories and stuff, just ask people, who do you know, and start with those. And then once you ask those people, and again, you're a very giving person, I can tell you do a hell of a lot, then you say, well, who do you know? That's how I did. Literally every single person I did a podcast with or I spoke on stage with, I asked them, who do you know that also does events like you do? Or who do you know that does podcasts like you do? And then they've introduced me to other people. That's how I got started, to the stage where I don't really need to do it now. But don't bother with those. I've even come out of those groups now. I can't be bothered to even be in those groups. They just don't work. They don't work to me. Okay, so before you all go, because we're going a little bit over time, I would love to, some of you have actually already been on a book idea audit with me, which I love. Stanley has just recently become a client of mine. I'm so excited to get started with Stanley. All of our coaching, should I do it with me walking backwards on my treadmill? Just as a tribute to you, Stanley, that's what I'll do. But yes, for a couple of you who haven't had a book idea audit, if you've got a book idea, and get on a call, let's talk about it. Because in fact, let me just go back to my screen because that will make a lot more sense if I can actually talk on my screen. So from current slide, here we go. So, this is just a small section of my Hall of Fame. So if you're kind of looking to really get your message out there in a big way, this is the kind of thing that my clients end up doing. They end up working with influencers. They end up in major newspapers such as Financial Times. They can even end up on TV as well. So if you're looking to really get your mission out there in a big way, thank you for coming, Henry Cameron. This is one of my, I've got loads of success stories. I mean, All of my clients have done incredible things. But Amanda really has taken to the next level regarding her keynote speaking. She published a book, Dare to Be Fair, 2 years ago. She now speaks around the country to major corporations like Kimberly-Clark. She's actually become a kind of like a part-time speaker for a specific organization now that she does around the UK. That's what can happen. Could she have done this without a book? Yes. It's just harder. Look at Mike. Mike's done it without a book. He's only now thinking of writing a book. But if you flip it the other way around, you can actually shorten the length of times for you to become a keynote speaker. Having a book has certainly helped Amanda. It's really shortened the amount of time that it's taken for her to be seen as a credible speaker. So do join me for a book idea audit. It's in 3 parts. So what we'll do is, first of all, we'll audit your book ideas. And I promise you, I'll be brutally honest, okay? If you just want to write a book for the sake of writing a book, there are publishers out there. I'm not your publisher. I only work with people who are writing a book because you actually want the book to do something. They actually wanted to make an impact for their reader, but more importantly, they want to make an impact for what they're doing. So whether it's taking you to the next level of success in your business, whether it's getting on even bigger stages, whether it's getting media attention because you've never had media attention before, it's something that you want to happen. So your book idea can't be just something that, oh, I just want to write it. No, it needs to be very strategic and very specific. So I'll be very honest. I'll be able to tell you from your book idea and where you are in your life right now and in your business. I'll be able to tell you, is this a good book idea? If it's terrible, I promise you, I'll be honest and say it's terrible. Please don't take any more time and energy and don't waste money on creating this book. If I think it's a good book idea, but the wrong time for you, again, I'll be honest. I would say I've done that with plenty of people. I did that with you, Stanley, I believe, when we originally spoke earlier on this year. I just said, you're not in the right place right now. I said, keep coming to the forum, keep learning. And when the time is right, it will be right. And the time is now right. So I'll be honest with you and I'll say, if this isn't the right time for you, I will tell you. We'll look at, if it is the right time, we'll look at what process will help you succeed. It could be what I do within the Vegan Publisher, or it could be with somebody else. I'm quite well networked, so I could actually go and refer you to somebody else. Only if I feel you're the right fit for the program and you're in the right place and you have a great book idea, only then I will show you my program. And that's when we'll look at things like how long it takes, how much it costs, etc. So let me show you how you can book one of those. So let me put this into the chat right now for anybody who wants. Oh, you've just put collapsing time. I love that idea. I do. Collapse. Sounds a bit interstellar though, doesn't it? It's a bit science fiction, but yeah. So there's the link. All you have to do is just come to this landing page. Do watch this video. It just goes in a little bit more detail what we'll cover on the book idea audit. And then you just scroll all the way down here and you should have a Calendly link. You know how this works, guys. You just put in the date and time that you want, fill in your details, and you'll be booked into my diary. Lovely, Mike. Lovely to see you. Hopefully see you soon. All right, Donna.
Bye.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Donna. So yes, would love to speak to you. If you've got a book idea, let me know, and I'd love to speak to you about it. Any final thoughts or anything anybody want to say, or are we done for today? Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I really enjoyed speaking to you today. Thank you, Stanley. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Donna. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Claire. Hope you enjoyed your eating. And yeah, hopefully see you at a future forum. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the week. Bye, everyone.